the comfortable gray. Unmask the shadows where they play. Welcome to Suki Things with Debbie. Suki Things with Debbie.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Spooky Things with Debbie. This is Thursday, and it's been an interesting week. Hope everything has been going okay with you guys. Everything's been okay over here. Okay, so tonight I wanted to do something. You know, I've been giving like a lot of shows with like, I don't know, it's kind of like a little bit offbeat than from what I've normally done in the past. But I think what it is that I'm trying to lay like a ground basis of a lot of things that have been going on. And a lot of these things goes into the concept that it's just a lot of innuendo, and a lot of speculation. And a lot of it has been pretty much proven to not be true. But yet people kind of tend to, sorry, we got the sniffles tonight, kind of tend to get the impression that this is still something that is like still classified. Most of the stuff is declassified. It really is. But a lot of people still hold on to that. And for the, for the better, for the not so better, it's better to know the truth as I know it and give it to you the way I know it. And then of course it's completely subjective to you. You can make out of it anything that makes you feel good to get out of it. But I'm just going to basically give you the facts as I know it to be. And sometimes that does help clarify things, especially when we're talking about other things that can lead into this. But unless it's been clarified in the very beginning that this is not a classified situation, at least any longer, and you can't really base a lot of what's going on here to what went on over there, because this right here is on a different level. So a lot of what goes on today is still classified, and pretty much the BS has been removed from it, because it just doesn't, it isn't going to fit in with what had occurred back then. But a lot of people get these things still intermixed and intertwined, and it's just not that. So what we're talking about tonight is the Roswell incident. Maybe I got a show about it, the whole thing. And by the way, the Roswell incident has been totally declassified. There's nothing that really today there are things that are going on there that is classified, but the Roswell incident itself has been listed as completely declassified, because they are claiming that nothing, once it was explained, nothing beyond what the explanation is really what occurred there, and it took on a life of its own, and people ran with it, and they ran with it in things that did not occur. Again, you can make out of it as you will, but we're going to talk about as it is today, being declassified. And this is the information that we basically have of it as of today. And I've always said this. A lot of times when we're talking about subjects like this, okay, a lot of times when we're talking about subjects like this, you have to think about, why is it that it is important for them to keep the attention of the American people on this area right here, and allowing for conjecture or whatever to run rampant with this particular area right here? Um, you have to kind of look at it like, because they're so busy looking at this over here that they are not paying any attention to what's really going on over here, and because they have you captivated with this over here. And nobody can get enough of this. They're just talking and talking and talking, and they're looking at this. Meanwhile, over here, it's going down over here, but nobody knows, or very few people know, because you're too concentrated on this over here. So I think it makes it easier for them to actually get away with a few more things, or slide things by with no one knowing the wiser, because they're not really paying attention to what really is going on that's important. That being said, just kind of keep that in your mind, that, this is the kind of stuff that does happen. And you want to kind of look at it both sides of your head, look at the comings and look at the goings. You got to, actually. So let me put on my glasses here, because I got my notes all in front of me here. And I do as much research as I possibly can on so much of this stuff, because I don't want to get it wrong. But anything is possible. So we're going to talk about Roswell, and we'll talk a little bit about Area 51, because that's a subject that I want to kind of carry into like next week, because there's Area 51 and there's Area 52. A lot of people don't know about Area 52. We'll get into that later. So let's go ahead and start talking at this point, Roswell. So we're going to start in July of 1947. This is before many of us were ever even born. This was a long time ago, guys. So in July 14th through this, let me see, it's July the 14th, rancher W.W.B.B. Brazil finds strange metallic debris scattered across a pasture near Corona, New Mexico. It's about 75 miles north of Roswell. Then on July the 8th, Roswell Army Airfield, which is RAF, issues a press release stating that personnel from the 509th Bomb Group recovered a flying disc, and that headline just exploded worldwide. It just went off the charts. On July the 9th, Brigadier General Roger Ramey intervenes at Fort Worth Army Airfield, and showing reporters lightweight foil and wood framing, declaring that it was a weather balloon. Nothing more, nothing. It was just a weather balloon. Immediately, the story just dies. It's gone, because they're like, okay, look, this isn't what you guys thought it was. It's just an weather balloon. So they're claiming at this point, this is just misinformation. This is not what this was at all. So here's what the theories and what people thought was going on. And this is the UFO lore. This was an extraterrestrial crash. An alien spacecraft crashed after a lightning storm, and the military recovered alien technology along with non-human bodies. Okay, that's what was really going around, was that this was happening. That's what had occurred. The key figures in this is Stanton Friedman, And he's a UFOologist who revived the story in the 1970s. Major Jess Marcel, who is the initial intelligence officer who claimed that the debris was not of this earth. And Glenn Dennis, he was a local mortician who claimed he was asked for child-sized, hermetically sealed caskets. Okay, so now we know about who was mostly involved in this. Let's go into the details about the actual incident. High altitude balloons equipped with microphones were designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. The wreckage consisted of neoprene, polyethylene, and radar reflectors were constructed from heavy-duty tape with unusual floral or geometric patterns. That's what explains the hieroglyphics that some witnesses had reportedly seen on there. Okay, so there was crash dummies. And this concerns the declassification. It was in 1997 addendum, the crash test dummies and declassification. The core claim of it was to address rumors of recovered bodies. The Air Force published the Roswell report, case closed, asserting that memories of crash test dummies dropped from high dive balloons in the 1950s were misremembered and conflated with the 1947 event. So they're saying, no, they didn't come from a spacecraft that crashed. They came from being tossed off of a high level to see how they would make it down to the bottom. I'm sure it was quickly and dismembered by that point, but this is what they're claiming. So basically, the story had shifted from a front page sensation to a 30-year silence, only to explode in modern pop culture during the late 1970s. The hieroglyphics that multiple people witnessed during the purple-pink symbols describe the purple-pink symbols on the foil-like structural beams. So it begs to differ of, was Project Module an honest explanation for a classified military secret, or was it a convenient cover story designed to hide exotic technology? That's what it all comes down to. Now let's look at the three different angles. And I don't know. It could really lead you to believe either one, really. The core premise. An alien spacecraft crashed during a severe thunderstorm in New Mexico in July of 1947. The U.S. military recovered exotic technology and biological non-human entities, launching a decades-long cover-up. Key evidence. And there was testimony to this right here. Major Jesse Marcel, the 509th Bomb Group Intelligence Officer, who was the first one at the scene. In the late 1970s, interviews with UFOologist Stanton Friedman, Marcel stated that the wreckage was paper thin, yet indestructible, could not be burned or cut, and was not of this earth. Many multiple witnesses, including Jesse Marcel Jr., described lightweight, I-beam-like structural supports stamped with mysterious, glossy purple-pink hieroglyphics or symbols that could not be decoded. And of course, we have the mortician's account, Glenn Dennis, who claimed he received frantic phone calls from the Roswell base asking about child-sized hermetically sealed caskets and body preservation techniques, suggesting alien corpses had been retrieved. So basically, the project module, you know, module. The core premise of this whole thing is in 1994, following a GAO investigation, the U.S. Air Force released a declassified report concluding that the debris was not a standard weather balloon, but rather a top secret Cold War surveillance array designated by Project Mogul. Mogul used ultra long trains of neoprene and polyethylene balloons carrying sensitive microphones into the upper atmosphere to listen for Soviet nuclear detonation shockwaves. You know, that makes sense to me. That honestly does. I mean, because you got to remember back then during the Cold War, I mean, this whole thing had really just exploded. It was kind of crazy. Everybody was into the Russian interference with the United States, and I mean, it was a big deal back then. So everything could be attributed to watching the Russians, making sure that they weren't up to no good, and spying, infiltrating into the American government and military and finding out what they were doing. So all that makes sense. Flight 4. The Air Force identified likely debris as modules Flight 4 launched from Alamogordo. That's another name. You know me, I'm bad with them. In June of 1947, and it was never recovered. The alien symbols that they talked about, the strange purple-pink hieroglyphics reported on the wreckage were explained as decorative, floral-patterned reinforced tape that was supplied by a civilian toy and novelty manufacturer in New York due to wartime material shortages. Okay, that one kind of lost me. They got it from a toy manufacturer. This is a military installation, and they had to get stuff from a toy manufacturer. I find that hard to believe. That's me. That's like, okay, that's the cutoff for me. That just doesn't. It could be, but as far as I go, that doesn't flow with me at all. So let's talk about the test dummies and time compression theory. In 1997, the Air Force issued its follow-up report, the Roswell report, case closed, to address persistent rumors of recovered alien bodies. The report concluded that eyewitness accounts of alien corpses were real memory of military tests that had been misremembered and conflated with the 1947 event. So now we're going to get into the contributing factors of what went on during this time as well. That got wrapped up in this whole thing. And that was Operation High Dive. We were just talking about this. During the 1950s, the military dropped anthropomorphic test dummies from high-altitude balloons across New Mexico to test high-altitude parachutes. These dummies had latex skin, aluminum frames, and lacked outer ears or fingers, resembling popular depictions of aliens. Now, this is the physical factors. Local residents who witnessed the military recovery teams retrieving the test dummies from the desert to the mid to late 1950s mentally merge these events with the 1947 crash debris over the decades. No, no. It's 1950s to 9, that's almost 20 years later. So they're going to remember something that happened in the 1950s, in the late 1940s, and say, oh, we're getting those confused. That's 15 to 20 years. That would be like me remembering what I ate for breakfast back. I don't think so. I don't know. That's no. And if this really is what they're saying it is, they're really explaining it bad. Really bad. Hospital incidents. Reports of unusual hospital visits were linked to a 1956 KC-97 tanker crash in which military personnel were severely burned, as well as a 1959 balloon crash that injured Air Force officers. I'm not saying that that did or didn't happen. Obviously it did, but I'm having a really hard time trying to connect the two. I mean, because there's way too much time between these incidents for one to have any kind of a relation to the other one, as far as the incident back in 1950 whatever or 47. No, I don't know. The mid to late 1950s mentally merged these events with 1947. So we're looking at basically 8 to 10 years. As I'm sitting here, about 8 to 10 years. I'm sorry. That's still, even though I've taken 5 years off of it, it's still too much time. I don't believe that's true. I really don't. And sometimes when the government thinks that you're that stupid that you can't sit there and figure it out, oh, one didn't have anything to do with the other, because your explanation is really pretty crappy. I don't know. That don't fly with me, though. The cultural blueprint for UFO lore. All right. So now we're going to go into something a little bit more modern. And I want to know, what is the relationship between what happened back then? How is it affecting our world today, or in more modern times? What exactly has become of the Roswell and, things, because what have things become because of it? So Roswell became the foundation mythos for modern UFO mythology. Before Roswell was revived in the late 1970s, popular UFO culture focused largely on simple flying saucers that were in the sky. Post Roswell, the narrative fundamentally shifted to focus on retrieved crash debris, government cover ups, reverse engineering, and underground military bases like Area 51. So it established the Roswell Gray, the thin, large-headed, black-eyed entity, as the default pop culture image of an alien. Yeah, because when you say alien, what do you think of? The little fellers are the first thing that come to your mind. So then there was the shift in government transparency and UAP hearings. The legacy of Roswell directly shaped the modern disclosure movement and official U.S. government action today. So let's get into what has become of all of this. This is interesting. This is pretty cool, actually. Legislation and task forces. Public distrust Sure. Stemming from Roswell and later Project Blue Book, paved the way for congressional demand for answers. This ultimately led to the creation of the all domain anomaly resolution office. Easier said AARO. Um, okay, and the mandatory UAP reporting frameworks within the Department of Defense. So they had to actually create these particular domains to address the complete influx of questions and disbelief of the American people as to what they were being told, that they had to actually create these entities to address these and to research into them, find out what was going on. And there were some pretty serious people involved in this as well. Modern UAP whistleblower claims, such as former intelligence official David Grush, testifying under oath to Congress about secret cash retrieval and reverse engineering programs, are direct consensual descendants of the Roswell allegations. So we're going far beyond something crashed in Roswell. We're going far beyond weather balloons and very far beyond dummies that you kick off a mountain. This is going way further past that. This was an economic and tourism powerhouse. Roswell, New Mexico transformed the 1947 event into a massive economic engine. The city hosts the International UFO Museum and Research Center and an annual UFO festival, pulling in tens of thousands of international tourists and millions in revenue each year. This is a booming business. And I'm going to tell you the truth, I think it's pretty cool. You know, I mean, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, people are having fun with it. You know, they're going there, they're having a good time, they're asking questions. I don't see anything bad about it. In this day and age, if you can find something that interests you and that you can have fun at, and this little area is like not a whole lot going on out there in the middle of nowhere. Roswell's pretty out there. And why not? You know, I personally don't have anything. They're enjoying it, they're having fun, and they're making money. Yeah. You know, I don't see anything. Hey, Gwen, how you doing? Hey, Dawn, how are you doing? I've been thinking about you too. Gwen, I miss you all the time. You and Lee, I miss you guys a lot. Okay, so there's the psychological and the cultural divide. Today, Roswell serves as a case study in how public trust in official narrative structures operate. Okay? So you have the skeptical skeptic and the pro-mogul view. Skeptics and historians point to Roswell as a prime example of memory contamination and confirmation bias, where decades of sensationalized books and media turned a classified Cold War air balloon into an interstellar event. Actually, the government themselves did that by being elusive, evasive, and not being forthright with exactly what was going on, and expecting the American public to accept stupid, ridiculous explanations for something that they knew clearly was going on. Talking about the air balloon, okay, but they were still doing very classified information. Just say that it was just this air balloon. They were still doing things concerning the Russians. And yes, I know it's for American security, American safety, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I do. I get it. But they were not forthright on it. And for the longest time, permitted what? For how long? From 1950 something to 1970 something? They allowed the American people to think whatever they wanted to, and everything, it just exploded. And then everybody's like, what the heck? Because they didn't address it at the time. So if there was really nothing going on there, be open about it. Be open and say, hey, this is it. Did they get tape from a toy manufacturer? Come on. No, they did not. Why? I mean, that's ludicrous to even think about that they would use something like that. And even if they did, don't you think those kids, those people out there who had children would be able to look at that tape and go, hey, that looks just like this so-and-so toy. That's got to be where that's from. It's a toy manufacturing company. If it had those designs on it, wouldn't you think that the American public would pick up on that? I just saw that. Hey, that's what little Johnny got for Christmas, had that thing on it. Oh, so either the government is lying, or, Johnny Rocket that they're selling for $12.99 at Kmart was up in space. I don't think so. So it's like the stupid explanations only go so far. I hate to be crude about it, but it's really true. When you really piece it all together, yeah, it's true. And then there's the believer, the UFO community view. Ufologists view Roswell as the ground zero of state secrecy, arguing that the Air Force's changing explanations, which started out as a weather balloon in 1947, Project Mogul in 1994, crash test dummies in 1997, demonstrate a reactive cover-up rather than a transparent timeline. Just as I've been saying, they've been so busy covering this up with hoo-ha that they could have just been right forward about it and have explained it, even if they didn't have to go into the down deep explanations of it. Don't treat the American people like they're idiots. For the most part, they're not. Notice how I said for the most part, because we've all seen those. Anyway, but for the most part, they're not. Okay, so now we do hear a lot about Area 51. Like I said, we're going to be talking about that next week. But Area 51 and Roswell, they're really kind of put into the same mishmash, although they're really not related. Actually, they're not. They're not even close together. Roswell and Area 51, there's a 700-mile difference between the two places. And there's an 8-year timeline between the two, historically. Roswell occurred 8 years before Area 51 was ever even, built. So, but they're kind of connected together because, of course, the similarities and, alien lore that gets attached to both of them. But one really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the other. other than the obvious, that the fact that, it's attached to the same lore. But Area 51 is actually at Groom Lake, which is in Nevada. So, um, so in UFO lore, Roswell is the acquisition phase, 1947, and Area 51 is the storage and study facility, which was from 1955 until present time. It's still very active. According to popular conspiracy theories, the alien wreckage and bodies recovered from the New Mexico desert were eventually transferred to secret underground hangars at Area 51, specifically S4 at Papoose Lake, for reverse engineering. When did they go there? Because there was an 8-year difference. Area 51 wasn't there. So did they store? Just say that they got the bodies. Did they store them? Where did they store them at before they could take them to Area 51? 52. All the things there. We'll get into that next week. But why would they bring them to Area 51? And like I said, many years had gone by with the bodies to have them transferred. Here's the Bob Lazar connection. Bob Lazar came about in 1989. Area 51 was strictly a military flight testing facility, building the U-2, the A-12, and the SR-71 until 1989. That year, a whistleblower named Bob Lazar claimed on Las Vegas television that he worked at a site called S4 that was just south of the Area 51's main Groom Lake installation. He claimed his job was to back engineer foreign propulsion systems on 9 flying saucers, explicitly linked to the site to retrieved off-world crafts like the one allegedly recovered at Roswell. Okay. Cold War secrecy and cover-ups. Both locations share a real world foundation in extreme military compartmentalization. Roswell in 1947, the debris was tied to Project Mogul, a top secret atomic detection system. Area 51, 1955 and beyond, established by the CIA to test black budget aircraft, secret flights like the U-2 spy plane, flying at 60,000 plus feet, directly caused a surge in local civilian UFO sightings. The Air Force leaned into UFO rumors to obscure classified flight tests. And they wonder how the American public got such an idea, how they would run with something like this, because they gave it to us by not being a little bit more forthright and not trying to BS the American public. You can really see how this whole thing was blown up. Whereas if they really wanted to keep it on the low, they could have said something a heck of a lot more believable than, throwing test dummies out of high places. Or it doesn't make sense, guys. None of it makes sense. It really doesn't. I'm a skeptic as far as believing. Once someone lies to me one time, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And I'll never believe you again, And How many times has the United States government lied? Yeah, you can do the math. More times than we can shake a stick at, I can tell you that. And, by them lying like they did on Roswell, could have been simply explained and left alone at that, but they didn't. And then when things blew up yet once again in the 70s, instead of having some rational, reasonable explanation, they sat there with their left finger up their nose and couldn't come up with anything that was halfway believable. So, and then they sit around and they wonder why it blew up, because they were allowed to. And I still say, because it was easier to control the whole of the public by them concentrating on that area over there. Let them get all excited. Let them toot their horns about this. Let them see what's going on, because wasn't diddly do going on over there compared to what's going on over here. And as long as they got their eyes over here, let them go. Because we can go about doing our business over here and not have to worry that much about it. I'm telling you guys, you got to look out of both sides of your head here, because if they're telling you it's happening over here, guarantee it's not. It's going on somewhere else. That's basically what I've learned to take out of stuff like this. So to kind of combine everything together, more or less, we can do the primary role, the timelines, the real military uses of them, and of course the pop culture explosions on this whole thing. So in Roswell, the primary incident was the crash site. But in Area 51, the main focus is the facility, the research lab. So this is where the difference is there then. The timeline is totally different. Roswell was 1947, July, and Area 51 wasn't commissioned until 1955. The real use for the Roswell site was the 509th Bomb Group, the atomic bombers. And Groom Lake, which is Area 51, is classified aircraft flight testing. Two totally different things, totally different. But in the explosion of it all, Roswell was really being looked at for the alien autopsies, and that metallic foil stuff really caught people's attention on that. Whereas in Area 51, it was the reverse engineering and anti-gravity propulsion. Now, I have to say, when you're looking at, and I don't know the names of these airplanes, it takes, military pilots and stuff, that people that are really into aircraft and stuff like that. I don't know the actual names of them, but like the stealth bomber, and those things are so cool, I have to say. They're really, really neat. But now they have planes that just come to a stop right here and take off. Those things are really cool. The stealth bomber, of course, is, everybody knows about a stealth bomber. Those planes are, oh my God, they're amazing. Anti-gravity propulsion and reverse engineering. You can see that work being done on the planes today that we know about, that we're looking at. We're seeing it. It's like, wow, that's something that we've never seen before. So obviously there's definitely work that's been done in those areas. So you can see it. It is true. It is true. This is such a mismatch, of What do you believe? You know? Um, I have to sit back and say, when it comes to the UFOs and the alien experience, I don't know. Um, as me being part of the general public, I just have to say there's been too much BS that has gone on. And there's usually BS when there's a cover up. I mean, come on, that's just natural thinking. If there's a cover up, there's going to be a lot of BS going on to cover it up, you know. Um, and they make it so obvious that how else can you possibly get around but thinking that that's exactly what's going on? And I think the American public is too smart for that crap these days. They're not playing it. They're just not playing it. People are a lot more open. A lot of things are much more readily put out there. I know Trump has put um, demands that a lot of the stuff gets declassified, and they have done it. They have declassified a lot of these things. I can't really say that a whole lot of them really mean a whole lot. Pictures of UFOs and stuff like that, and those are really cool, very very cool. Um, but it does other questions. My main thing about it is if we are really looking at a situation where there's aliens out there, and I do myself believe that there are, how could there not be? I mean, to me, it's just like a natural thing. Of course there are. How could there not be? And me and some friends have seen great things in the sky, and there was a number of us that saw them. Um, and we were all in different parts of the country, and we were seeing them. So it wasn't just something that was in a localized area. It was actually in a very large area. And I believe it was stemming everywhere from North Carolina to Georgia to Alabama to Florida to, I'm trying to think of how far out the last person, the farthest out that they were. But we definitely had the East Coast covered pretty much, quite a bit of, a good quarter of the Southeast we had covered, and we were all saying the same thing. And this is just absolutely nothing that is so far fetched to me that it couldn't be true. And I do believe that it is true. I'm not an astrophysicist, just like I'm just an everyday person out there who just takes a look up in the sky and sees things that I don't understand, or I believe that I do understand what it is, but it's become so commonplace these days that, I mean, it's kind of almost like ridiculous that you couldn't look up and say, well, of course that's what it is. Obviously, that's what it is. But the scope of the interaction, or I don't know really that much about that. Um, but I have seen what other people have seen. And I know Florida is one of, I think it's the second state in the nation that gets the most sightings. I think California is the first one, and then Florida actually comes in on second as having sightings. Um, and I think it's just because they're so big, and there's a lot of other areas that don't have as many sightings because they're not as big, but they're having, as per capita, they're having the same amount of sightings as we are. It's just that they're not as big as the states are that we have. California's huge. So of course, I mean, it takes up all the west side of the United States. Um, So obviously they've got everything from the southern to the northern range in that one state. It's huge. Florida's it's not small either. The bottom line is they're also both on the coastlines. And I think that that has a lot to do with it as well. That's me personally thinking. Um, I really do believe that there are a lot of people keep saying, that the ports that they go to or whatever. And I honestly do believe that I have seen so many of them go down instead of going up. They actually go down. And I do believe that there are underwater docking places for them. We know so very little about the water. We really so very little. And but I have seen so many just kind of go down, and it's like you're waiting for them. They don't go back up. They go down. They stay down. So it's kind of leads you to believe that maybe they're going towards the water. This is what they're interested in, is going towards water. It's just it's a thought. It's a thought process. So, but in any case, that's my view on things. And like I said, the information that I give to you is very, very well researched and brought to you as this is what we know. These are the facts of it. You have to take those facts and make it work the way that you find it to be true, or you dispute it, or you agree with it, or it's like, well, yeah, but I think it could be this way or that way. You have to take it for what it is to work for you. But as always, I always say, make sure that you're keep your eyes open, guys, because there are things going on out there that, those with their eyes closed, they might not be in a safe environment by keeping their eyes closed to everything going on. I would prefer to have my eyes open, even if I'm seeing something I don't really want to see. I don't really want to know about it. I need to, for my family, for me, my friends, for the safety. I would rather be made aware of it than to be sitting in a closet being fed BS by a government. Nah, I'd rather have the truth about it. So anyway, spooky things going on out there, man. But you know what? What are you gonna do? It's just it's a natural thing that's happening. It's just it's getting to be darn near commonplace. So guys, there's no reason to freak out on it or anything like that. It's been happening for years and years and years, and it's just becoming more and more and more obvious. That's all. That's all. So you guys take care. I've given you a little bit to think about. Next week, we're going to talk about Area 51 and Area 52 and see how, you know, how they work together and how they're separate from each other, and how they affect us today. How do they affect us today? And, what do they give to us? How do they help us? How do they hinder us? It's always good to know. So everybody, you guys have a great week, and we'll be seeing you next Thursday, 7 o'clock Central Time. And have a discussion about that. Anybody have anything to say? Let me know. Come on the show. Let us know what you think about it. Would love to hear from you. All right, everybody. You guys have a great evening. And before I go, I'm just looking at the time here. I just want to remind everybody that in November, we are having the Medieval Faith Fest, and it's going to be held at the Jackson County Ag Center in Marianna, Florida. And it's going to be on November the 13th. And again, it's at the Jackson County Ag Center right on 90. very easy to get. It's going to be our second year, and it is going to be bigger, more involved, more going on. We had last year. It was just so much fun. It really was just so much fun. And come dressed as your favorite character. It's a Fae Fest. So you want to dress as a Fae, you want to dress whatever you want to dress at. Come on in. We're going to have a cosplay contest there as well. See who's dressed the coolest or the most mysterious. It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll see you then. And remember, it's on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Now we're going to have a lot of things there really on the 14th, which is the Saturday. There are going to be, I think, more acts there on the Saturday. And but the 14th and the 13th and the 15th are still going to be high action, everything going on. But because it's Saturday, I think that's where a lot more of the activities are going to be going on there, because that's like a prime day. And but every day is just going to be fun. It's just going to be fun. So in any case, hopefully we'll see you guys then. Would love to see you. You can go on the website for the Medieval Fae Fest. You can get your tickets there. They do give ticket giveaways as well. And we would just love to see you. Remember, medievalfaefest.com. That's where you can get your tickets at. So signing off for the night, and everybody will be seeing you again next Tuesday. Or I'm sorry, we've changed to Thursday. So we'll be seeing you next Thursday. And I want everybody to have a great week. Be careful this weekend, and we'll see you guys again on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Good night from Spooky Things with Debbie!